Greetings and salutations, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, aka your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. Now, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know what's been going on in Charlottesville, Virginia, about the Confederate statues being taken down, and then, of course, many neo-Nazi and KKK groups protesting that, and then counter-protesters showing up to protest the KKK and the neo-Nazis, and then, of course, the neo-Nazis and KKK and the counter-protesters started. There was some violence that went down. Now, I don't know the full story of that, but it got me to thinking about freedom of speech. Everyone loves to invoke, but I have freedom of speech. So, what exactly is freedom of speech? Now, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, which is also part of the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, one of them as follows. Congress shall make no law respecting, I'm not sure if I'm quoting it verbatim, so I won't try to, but basically it is freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and freedom to assemble peaceably to address the government for a redress of grievances. Now, how free are we? How free is free speech? You know, one thing I look at is we do have the right to free speech, but we do have the responsibility to our fellow citizens as to how we carry that speech out. As we saw here on YouTube play out with the demonetization of certain videos and even a nefarious and infamous hit list on the black sector of YouTube, yelling fire in a crowded theater is not responsible. In fact, that violates other people because it's causing disorder. And I was once told that your freedom to swing your fist ends at the end of my nose, at the tip of my nose. Because realize, as Sir Isaac Newton's, one of his laws of thermodynamics was, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So yes, we have the freedom of speech, but we need to interact. We need to be responsible in how we communicate our message, whatever that message might be. Now, is hate speech covered by the First Amendment? Now, there are those that would say yes. There are those that would say no. But I do want to give everyone a reminder, anyone who might be watching this video, whenever you watch this video, the Confederacy lost the Civil War, or as they would call it, the War of Northern Aggression. Now, according to what I've been listening to about the situation, it was actually the officials in Charlottesville that wanted the statues taken down. They voted on it, so this was something that they chose to do. Now, me personally, I'd rather know who my enemies are. I'd rather know who doesn't like me, therefore I can act accordingly, as opposed to everyone trying to make nice when that may not really be the case. Now, the persons protesting the takedown of the statues and the Confederate symbols, they have every right to protest, even though I find what they say repugnant and just downright nasty. They have every right to do that based on the United States Constitution. The counter-protests have the right to protest the neo-Nazi and Confederacy movement. The moment it got violent is when the protesters on either side messed up. Now, I can give you a recollection of when the Aryan Nation came here in St. Louis. St. Louis County, they were out in Clayton, Missouri, which is the seat of St. Louis County. And they were protesting that a black mayor in Delwood, which is sort of a municipality in St. Louis County, in North St. Louis County, that they fired those, and I quote, good white police officers. So yeah, I thought what they said was horrible and disgusting, but they have every right to speak on it. What the media did was they did not cover it. So just like we have the right to speak, people have the right to ignore you, or even not even give you coverage. Now, Westboro Baptist Church, we all know those wonderful, jolly good folks. They go to the funerals of dead soldiers and protest, saying that it is the judgment of God upon the soldiers. And they know their rights too, because they're armed with a bunch of lawyers. They're nonviolent. They're waiting for you to do something to them so they can press charges against you. And again, I'll say it again, I'd rather have an open enemy than a false friend. And I'm more worried about the ones that didn't go to the rally and speak out and carry the tiki torches, because they might be hiding something else. Now, when I say that I think they have the right, they do have the right to speak. They don't have the right to touch you, harm you, or do anything of that sort, or even to incite people to do something to you. But I look at it this way: if we silence those groups, what's to say next time someone else can't come and silence me, or whatever I feel is important, or whatever you might feel is important? But I do remember that YouTube brouhaha with the whole channels getting blocked, flagged, deleted, whatsoever. So as far as I'm concerned, the moment that that young lady got ran over by the Confederate guy or the neo-Nazi guy, that's when things turned sour. As long as you're speaking on it, that's one thing. The moment you do some bodily harm to somebody, you forfeit that. So I ask you guys, what is freedom? And how much is freedom, and how much of that is freedom, and how much freedom do we truly have? Especially when we live in a society. Now, you've probably heard of something known as the social contract. And this is where individuals agree to give up little bits of their autonomy, little bits of their independence, so they can be members of the society and operate within the context of that particular society. And once you were born here, you signed that social contract. Once you continue to remain in the society, once you were educated in its norms, its rules, its laws, its governances, you agree to the social contract. The moment you get in your car and run somebody over, you violate that social contract. Now, I can speak all day long on something. I can say, you know what? I don't like this, or I don't like that, or I hate the fact that this went down. The moment you put your hands on somebody, that's when it becomes a problem. Well, that's my 2 cents, YouTube. Tell me what you think. Peace.